So remember the version of Caitlin Clark that was deemed too skinny to play in the WNBA by Gino Auriemma? Remember the version of Caitlin Clark that came out and, like, let's be real, got bullied by Dejanay Carrington in that first game. Then in her second game, got bullied by Benijah Laney-Hamilton. In her third game, got bullied by Benijah Laney-Hamilton. No, she was all right in the second time they played Liberty. In her fourth game, got bullied by Dejanay again for a lot of the game. And throughout the season, struggled when it came to her defense because they couldn't really put her on small forwards because she would get bullied. And they couldn't put her on guards because, look, she's an average at best defender on ball. And a far below average off-ball defender. Remember that version of Caitlin Clark? Well, I mean, Gino Auriemma was talking about Caitlin Clark and Paige being the same build. Yeah, they're not the same build right now. Paige Beckers had her, as she said, like her work tour in the off-season, getting shots up. But Paige reminds me a little bit of a Kevin Durant. She reminds me a little bit of a Kevin Durant, like a basketball doesn't weigh this amount. Who needs to bulk up? And Paige is still that skinny player. I'm not saying Paige isn't going to succeed because skinny Caitlin Clark succeeded. Let's be real. But Caitlin Clark now, you can see from a lot of the stuff, a lot of stuff yesterday, a lot of people were talking about it, just how much bigger Caitlin Clark has gotten. That's all people are talking about. So obviously, if you're looking at the picture with her with Serena Williams, like her arms look a little bit bigger, but it's kind of hard to tell from there. But like, how much bigger Caitlin Clark's arms are than last year. It's mad. And not only that, like Caitlin Clark has, I hope that Caitlin Clark has not put on, because in fairness, she doesn't look like there's too much size being put on. But compared to last season, how much bulk she has put on. You would hope, again, for a Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark is built like a soccer player. She's built like a long-distance runner. Like her natural build, which is why there hasn't been too many injuries. She's got that elasticity that doesn't seem to really be too common as far as WNBA players are concerned. Like, considering whether it be WNBA in college, she doesn't put that much force through her legs, considering how much speed she uses. Like, there's not that much change of direction. She's just downhill at one speed. As well as that, like how she gets Zaza Pachulia, how often people try to undercut her on jump shots, and she seems to just be made of elastic. I would hope that bulking up, there are definitely times where that has caused more injuries. So I would be a little bit concerned for that, but there's not much of a concern. There's genuinely not much of a concern. And we've seen it again more and more throughout this offseason, like pictures of Caitlin Clark, just how much she is bulked up. And again, it's a sign of somebody that is very clearly working her way towards being, well, no longer the skinny guard that they said was nowhere, was not big enough for this league. And I would be very, very interested to see what ends up happening when it comes to Caitlin Clark. Like, I do think there's no question about it that Caitlin Clark bulked up throughout last season. Like, this is footage of her when she was in June. Like, you could see that Caitlin Clark 100% like bulked up through the season, but especially post All-Star break. But we've seen in the off season, like there's no question about it. In the off season, there has been, I know obviously she's flexing in one and on the other, but it's going to be really interesting to see her coming up against guards with her no longer being that young guard, with her no longer, and like this was again her off season the previous year. Like, you can see how much skinnier Caitlin Clark was going into her senior season in college, going into the 23-24 season, versus what size she's coming into the 2025 season at. Like, it's huge for the Indiana Fever because as long as it doesn't have any effect on her shooting, any effect on, funnily enough, I don't think it's going to have effect on the pace that she plays at, because if you watch Caitlin Clark play, the pace that she plays at is more here. Like, Caitlin Clark is much faster here than she is, like, physically. And that's one of the things I don't think people really know, or say really, like, think about, is that a lot of the time the fastest players are not the players that run the fastest. There are super fast players running wise that just play slow, and there are super slow players that play fast. It is how fast you can process the game, and Caitlin Clark's processing of the game is significantly higher than, or significantly faster than any other player in the WNBA. That's what separates a Caitlin Clark and a Breanna, because they do the same thing, by the way. Like, they both are, I would say they're almost equivalent as far as their shooting is concerned. Like, Caitlin Clark just processes the game better. Like, that is the difference. I think as far as ability to make a pass, similar enough. Their gravity is similar. Caitlin Clark just processes the game significantly faster than Breanna. Like, that, for me, that is the difference. Maybe Breanna's got a better pull-up midi, but I think their games are quite an equivalent. But there's a reason why Caitlin Clark is the better player by a decent chunk, and it is because of processing. And I think that even if it does slow her down a slight bit, as long as it doesn't slow her down too much, and it means that the Indiana Fever can be so much more versatile on the defensive end. Like, if Caitlin Clark, I don't think she's going to be able to play the power forward position. But if she's even able to do something, like, it's not even anything major. Like, if she's even able to do something on the defensive end, guarding threes or guarding fours, like, even if it's, say, a small ball four, let's just say there are teams running with undersized power forwards. So, like, maybe you could say, Caitlin, you're going to get cooked, but you're going to bring the offensive end and we run this super small ball lineup with you at the 4 and Natasha Howard at the 5. Even though that probably won't happen because Sophie Cunningham will be at the 4. But if she can start guarding threes, because Kelsey Mitchell's not a bad on-ball defender. They're both horrific off the ball. And I think that she's smart enough, she processed the game well enough that she'll figure it out how to play defense. But the ability for it not to be a mismatch for her guarding small forwards is going to change how the Indiana Fever play defense. But the one thing I will say is the bigger Caitlin Clark gets, bulk-wise, like, the less minutes she's going to be able to play. And I don't mean it's going to be anything significant, but, like, just purely weight on legs, regardless of how much muscle you've built up, in a lot of situations, just purely weight-wise, you would subtract a couple of minutes. And it's nothing crazy. Just instead of playing 38 minutes in some games, play her like 31 a game. And that's probably good for her legs anyway, playing her 31 minutes a game. And I'm still confident in 31 good minutes, Caitlin Clark can still average 19 and 10. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.